We hear it everywhere we turn. Social justice, but what does it really mean? It's more than a hashtag or a trending topic. Social justice calls us to fight for those who are marginalized and oppressed. It's about equality, fairness, and standing up for what is right. In a world rife with inequality and suffering, the pursuit of social justice seems undeniably virtuous. Images of peaceful protest, voices raised for the voiceless, and acts of compassion flood our screens. This outward pursuit of justice seems inherently good, but what lies beneath the surface? What is the driving force behind our actions? Is it a pure desire for a better world or something more self-serving? Is it possible that our pursuit of social justice, while appearing righteous, could be tainted by selfish ambition? These are the crucial questions we must grapple with. We must look beyond the veneer of good intentions and delve into the heart of the matter. The Bible, a timeless guide for navigating life's complexities, offers profound insights into the true nature of justice. It's not merely about outward actions, but about the inward transformation that fuels them. It's about a heart moved by genuine love and compassion, not a desire for personal validation. As we embark on this exploration, we'll uncover the potential pitfalls of seeking justice for the wrong reasons and discover how true justice flows from a heart aligned with God's will. Our world often equates action with virtue. We assume that those fighting for noble causes are inherently good. But what if our actions, even those seemingly aligned with justice, stem from a desire for self-promotion? What if our pursuit of a better world is tainted by the need to be seen as righteous, compassionate, and on the right side of history? This is where the true battle for social justice lies, not in the streets or on social media, but within the depths of our hearts. The Bible doesn't shy away from confronting our human tendency toward hypocrisy. In Matthew chapter 6, verses 1 to 4, Jesus warns against practicing righteousness to be seen by others. He cautions against performative acts of piety, including giving to the needy, praying, and even fasting, when done for the sake of outward approval. This warning strikes at the heart of our motivations for pursuing social justice. Are we truly fighting for the oppressed, or are we more concerned with curating an image of ourselves as righteous activists? Jesus' teachings pierce through the facade of outward appearances and expose the true condition of our hearts. He reminds us that true righteousness isn't about public displays of virtue, but about a heart transformed by God's love. It's about acting out of genuine compassion, not a desire for applause or recognition. As we delve deeper into God's Word, we'll explore passages that challenge our understanding of social justice and call us to examine our motives. The prophet Micah, in a few powerful words, cuts through the noise and confusion surrounding social justice. He doesn't offer a complex formula or a list of rules. Instead, he presents a simple yet profound challenge. What does the Lord require of you but to do justice, and to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God? Micah chapter 6, verse 8. This verse serves as a compass, guiding our understanding of what it means to pursue justice in a way that honors God. Micah's words remind us that true justice is not merely about outward actions, but about the posture of our hearts. It's about aligning our lives with God's character, a character marked by justice, kindness, and humility. It's about recognizing that our pursuit of a just world must be rooted in love for God and love for our neighbor. Social media has become a powerful tool for raising awareness about injustice and mobilizing people for change. Yet, it has also created a space where the pursuit of social justice can easily devolve into a performance. The temptation to prioritize appearances over genuine compassion is ever present. We share posts, sign petitions, and engage in online debates, often more concerned with signaling our virtue than with making a tangible difference. Micah's call to love kindness challenges us to move beyond the superficiality of online activism and engage in acts of love that extend beyond the digital realm. It's about recognizing the inherent dignity of every individual, regardless of their background, beliefs, or social standing. It's about treating others with empathy, respect, and compassion, even when it's difficult or inconvenient. The pursuit of social justice, while noble in its intent, can become a breeding ground for self-righteousness. When our focus shifts from serving others to promoting ourselves, we fall into the trap of using justice as a means to elevate our own moral standing. We become more concerned with appearing virtuous than with embodying the true spirit of justice. Jesus, in his Sermon on the Mount, warns against this very danger. He cautions his followers against practicing their righteousness before others to be seen by them, Matthew 6, verse 1. This warning applies not only to acts of piety like giving to the poor and praying, but also to our involvement in social justice movements. When we allow self-righteousness to take root in our hearts, it poisons our efforts to create a more just world. It leads to judgment, division, and a lack of genuine compassion for those we claim to be fighting for. True justice, rooted in humility, recognizes that we are all flawed individuals in need of God's grace. At the heart of the Christian understanding of social justice lies the belief that every human being is created in the image of God, Genesis 1, verse 27. This fundamental truth transcends differences in race, ethnicity, gender, social status, or any other human category. It forms the basis for our call to treat all people with dignity, respect, and compassion. Recognizing the image of God in others challenges us to look beyond outward appearances and see the inherent worth and value in every individual. It compels us to fight against injustice not because it's trendy or politically expedient, but because it violates the very core of who we are as God's creation. When we truly grasp the profound implications of the Imago Dei, it transforms the way we view ourselves, our neighbors, and the world around us. It compels us to stand up for the marginalized, speak out against oppression, and work tirelessly to create a world where every person is treated with the dignity and respect they deserve. Section 5. Humility and service, the foundation of authentic justice. True justice, as Micah reminds us, is intricately linked to humility. It's not about seeking recognition or praise for our efforts, but about serving others with a heart of love and compassion. It's about recognizing that we are all broken and in need of grace, and that our efforts to create a more just world must be rooted in a deep sense of our own limitations. Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 to 4 echoes this sentiment, urging believers to do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. This verse challenges us to approach social justice not as a platform for self-promotion, but as an opportunity for selfless service. When we embrace humility as the foundation for our pursuit of justice, we open ourselves to learning from others, listening to their stories, and working alongside them to create lasting change. Section 1. The hypocrisy of outward appearances, unmasking our motives. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus delivers a powerful message that cuts to the core of human motivation. He warns his disciples, beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them, for then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. This warning, while spoken in a different time and context, speaks volumes to our modern pursuit of social justice. It's easy to get caught up in the outward trappings of social activism. We share impassioned posts, attend rallies, and engage in heated debates, all the while basking in the glow of our perceived righteousness. But Jesus challenges us to look deeper, to examine the motives behind our actions. Are we truly driven by a desire to see justice served, Or are we more concerned with cultivating an image of ourselves as woke and socially conscious individuals? This isn't to say that outward expressions of support for social justice are inherently wrong. Public demonstrations, advocacy efforts, and even social media posts can be powerful tools for raising awareness and driving change. The danger lies in allowing these outward actions to become a substitute for genuine, heart-level transformation. Section 2. Seeking applause or seeking change? A sobering question. Imagine for a moment a person who spends hours crafting the perfect social media post about a social justice issue. They meticulously research hashtags, select the most impactful image, and write a caption designed to elicit maximum engagement. Yet beyond the carefully curated online persona, their actions tell a different story. They remain silent in the face of everyday injustices, fail to challenge prejudice within their own circles, and prioritize personal comfort over the needs of the marginalized. This scenario, while fictionalized, highlights a crucial point. True justice is not measured in likes, shares, or retweets. It's not about winning arguments, scoring moral points, or accruing social currency. It's about a deep, abiding commitment to seeing the world transformed by God's love and justice. The question we must each grapple with is this: are we seeking the applause of man or the approval of God? Are we more concerned with being seen as righteous or with actually living out the principles of justice, mercy, and humility in our daily lives? Section 3. The allure of social currency, when justice becomes a trend. In an age dominated by social media, it's easy to get swept up in the latest trends, even when it comes to social justice. Certain causes gain traction, hashtags proliferate, and suddenly everyone is an expert on the issue du jour. While this heightened awareness can be positive, it also presents a unique set of challenges. When social justice becomes a form of social currency, the focus shifts from the needs of the marginalized to the self-promotion of the advocate. We become more concerned with aligning ourselves with the right side, even if it means sacrificing genuine understanding, empathy, and nuanced dialogue. The danger of this trend-driven approach to social justice is that it often leads to superficial engagement and a lack of sustained commitment. We jump from one cause to the next, driven more by a desire to be seen as on the right side of history than by a deep-rooted passion for creating lasting change. Section 4. The heart of the matter. Shifting from performance to authenticity. Jesus' warning against practicing righteousness to be seen by others strikes at the very heart of the issue. It reminds us that true justice doesn't originate from a desire for external validation, but from an internal transformation of the heart. This shift from performance to authenticity requires a radical reorientation of our priorities. It means moving beyond the superficiality of social media activism and engaging in the often messy, uncomfortable work of dismantling injustice in our own spheres of influence. It means listening to the voices of all individuals, including those whose experiences may be different from our own, even when their perspectives challenge our comfort or understanding. It means examining our own biases and prejudices and committing to personal growth and transformation. Section 5. From public display to private transformation, cultivating inner righteousness. The pursuit of social justice is not a destination but a lifelong journey of growth, learning, and transformation. It's not about achieving a state of perfect wokeness or becoming an infallible advocate for every cause. It's about cultivating an inner righteousness that flows from a heart surrendered to God's will. This inner transformation begins with acknowledging our own brokenness and need for God's grace. It requires humility, self-awareness, and a willingness to confront our own shortcomings. As we draw closer to God, allowing His love to shape our thoughts, words, and actions, we become more attuned to the needs of those around us and more equipped to be agents of justice and reconciliation in a broken world. This inner transformation is not a passive process. The Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Philippians, presents a profound challenge that cuts to the heart of our motives and actions. He writes, "Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others." Philippians 2:3-4. This scripture is a clarion call to humility and selflessness, values that are essential for genuine social justice. Paul's words remind us that true justice cannot coexist with selfish ambition or conceit. These vices taint our motivations, turning acts of service into self-serving gestures. Instead, we are to consider others as more significant than ourselves, a radical concept in a world that often prioritizes individual achievement and recognition. This humility is not about self-degradation, but about recognizing the inherent value and dignity of others. It's about acknowledging that our pursuit of justice is not for our own glory, but for the betterment of our community and the fulfillment of God's will. The call to humility challenges us to examine our hearts continually, ensuring that our actions are rooted in genuine love and compassion. Paul's exhortation to put others' interests before our own is not merely a suggestion, but a fundamental principle of Christian living. This selflessness is the bedrock of authentic social justice. It calls us to set aside our desires, ambitions, and even comforts to serve the needs of others. In doing so, we emulate Christ, who did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many, Matthew 20:28. Selflessness requires us to be attentive to the needs around us, to listen actively, and to respond with empathy and action. It means prioritizing the well-being of others, especially those who are marginalized and oppressed. This shift from self-centeredness to other-centeredness is transformative, both for the individual and the community. In practical terms, this might mean advocating for policies that protect the vulnerable, volunteering our time and resources to support those in need, or simply being present for someone who is hurting. Throughout history, countless individuals have embodied the principles of humility and selflessness, serving as beacons of light in the quest for social justice. Their stories inspire us to move beyond theoretical discussions and put our faith into action. One such example is Mother Teresa, whose life was a testament to serving the poorest of the poor with unwavering love and humility. Mother Teresa's work in the slums of Calcutta demonstrated a profound commitment to seeing and serving Christ in the least of these. Her humility was evident in her willingness to live among those she served, sharing in their suffering and offering hope through her presence and care. Her life was a powerful reminder that true justice is inseparable from selfless service and deep compassion. Another example is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose leadership in the civil rights movement was marked by a deep sense of humility and a commitment to non-violent resistance. Dr. King's dream of justice was rooted in love for all humanity, and his willingness to endure persecution and hardship for the sake of others continues to inspire generations. Section 4. The intersection of faith and justice, aligning with God's will. The pursuit of social justice is not a standalone endeavor, but one that must be deeply rooted in our faith and aligned with God's will. This alignment ensures that our actions are not only just but also righteous and pleasing to God. It calls us to seek His guidance, wisdom, and strength in our efforts to create a more just world. Aligning our pursuit of justice with God's will involves immersing ourselves in Scripture, understanding His heart for justice, and allowing His word to shape our actions. It means recognizing that our fight for justice is part of a larger spiritual battle, one that requires us to put on the full armor of God as mentioned in Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 to 18, and to stand firm in our convictions. This alignment also calls us to act in faith, trusting that God is at work even when we cannot see the immediate results of our efforts. It requires patience, perseverance, and a steadfast commitment to righteousness, knowing that our ultimate goal is to glorify God and reflect His love and justice in the world. Section 5, Worship through Justice, seeing service as devotion. In the Christian life, acts of justice and service are not merely good deeds, but are integral to our worship of God. When we serve others with humility and love, we are participating in an act of worship, honoring God by caring for His creation. This perspective transforms our understanding of social justice, framing it as a form of devotion and a reflection of our love for God. Viewing justice as worship compels us to approach our actions with reverence and a sense of sacred duty. It reminds us that our efforts to create a more just world are not separate from our spiritual lives, but are deeply interconnected. Every act of kindness, every stand against injustice, and every effort to uplift the marginalized is a testament to our faith and our desire to honor God. This perspective also provides a powerful antidote to burnout and disillusionment. When we see our work for justice as an offering to God, we are sustained by His strength and motivated by His love. It shifts the focus from our limitations and frustrations to His infinite power and grace, enabling us to persevere with hope and joy. Section 1. The distortion of good intentions, when justice becomes a spectacle. The pursuit of social justice, a noble and necessary endeavor, faces a constant threat in our modern age: the distortion of good intentions into a self-serving spectacle. The very platforms designed to amplify the voices of the marginalized can quickly devolve into stages for self-promotion and virtue signaling. The line between genuine advocacy and performative activism blurs, leaving us to question the motives behind the movements we champion. The danger of this spectacle mentality is that it shifts the focus from the needs of the oppressed to the perceived righteousness of the advocate. The pursuit of justice becomes a competition for social currency, with individuals and groups vying for recognition, influence, and moral superiority. The marginalized, those for whom justice is sought, become props in a self-congratulatory narrative, their voices drowned out by the clamor for attention. This distortion of good intentions is not limited to individuals. Organizations, institutions, and even entire movements can fall prey to the allure of spectacle. Mission statements become marketing slogans. Genuine efforts at reform morph into carefully crafted public relations campaigns, and the pursuit of justice becomes entangled with the pursuit of power, influence, and financial gain. Section 2. The perils of performative activism, seeking validation, not transformation. Performative activism thrives in the digital age, where social media platforms provide endless opportunities for self-promotion and virtue signaling. It's easy to craft a carefully curated online persona, sharing impassioned posts, condemning injustice, and aligning ourselves with the right causes, all while avoiding the messy, uncomfortable work of genuine allyship and personal transformation. This performative approach to social justice is not only ineffective but also harmful. It creates the illusion of progress, lulling us into a false sense of accomplishment while the root causes of injustice remain unaddressed. It breeds division and animosity, turning complex issues into simplistic binaries and fostering an environment of moral superiority and judgment. Performative activism also undermines the credibility of genuine social justice movements. When those claiming to fight for justice are exposed as hypocrites, motivated by self-interest rather than genuine concern for the marginalized, it casts a shadow of doubt over the entire endeavor. Section 3. The echo chamber effect, losing sight of genuine dialogue and empathy. The internet, for all its potential to connect us across differences, has also created echo chambers where individuals surround themselves with like-minded voices, reinforcing their existing beliefs and becoming increasingly intolerant of opposing viewpoints. This echo chamber effect has infiltrated the realm of social justice, hindering progress and fueling division. When we exist solely within echo chambers, we lose the capacity for empathy and understanding. We become so convinced of our own righteousness that we demonize those who disagree with us, dismissing their perspectives as ignorant, hateful, or even dangerous. This lack of empathy creates an environment where dialogue becomes impossible and progress on complex social issues grinds to a halt. The echo chamber effect also fosters a culture of fear and silence. Individuals who hold dissenting viewpoints, even within social justice movements, may hesitate to speak up for fear of being ostracized, shamed, or labeled as traitors to the cause. This silencing of dissent stifles critical thinking, hinders progress, and ultimately undermines the very principles of justice and equality that these movements claim to uphold. Section 4. The temptation to silence dissent when unity becomes uniformity. The pursuit of unity within social justice movements, while admirable in its intent, can devolve into a dangerous form of groupthink when dissent is silenced and conformity is prioritized above all else. This temptation to silence opposing viewpoints stems from a desire to present a united front, a belief that internal disagreements weaken the movement and hinder progress. However, this forced uniformity comes at a steep cost. It stifles creativity, innovation, and critical thinking, essential elements of any successful movement for social change. It creates an environment of fear and suspicion, where individuals are afraid to express their true thoughts and feelings for fear of reprisal. Moreover, silencing dissent within social justice movements creates a dangerous blind spot. When we are unwilling to listen to and engage with opposing viewpoints, we become susceptible to our own biases and blind spots. We risk becoming so entrenched in our own righteousness that we fail to recognize our own shortcomings and miss opportunities for growth, learning, and meaningful dialogue. In a world saturated with performative activism and driven by the pursuit of social currency, reclaiming the true meaning of social justice requires a radical shift in our perspective and our approach. It demands that we move beyond the superficiality of outward appearances and cultivate an inner righteousness rooted in love, humility, and a genuine desire to serve those on the margins. Reclaiming true justice begins with an honest examination of our own hearts. It requires us to confront our own biases and prejudices. It calls us to listen with humility to the experiences of those who have been marginalized and to amplify their voices without seeking recognition or praise for ourselves. True justice is not a performance, but a way of life. It's about showing up consistently, even when it's difficult or inconvenient. It's about using our voices to speak truth to power, even when our words tremble. It's about choosing love over apathy, compassion over judgment, and humility over self-righteousness. As we conclude this exploration of social justice in the light of faith, let us remember that the true measure of our commitment to justice lies not in the number of posts we share, rallies we attend, or hashtags we use. It is not found in the eloquence of our arguments, the size of our platform, or the applause of our peers. The true measure of our pursuit of justice resides in the transformation of our hearts. It is in the quiet moments of self-reflection, the uncomfortable conversations that challenge our biases, and the daily choices we make to love and serve those around us. Our journey towards justice begins with acknowledging our own brokenness and need for God's grace. We must confront the idols of self-righteousness and the allure of performative activism that can creep into our hearts. When our focus shifts from seeking God's approval to seeking the approval of others, our pursuit of justice becomes distorted, losing its authenticity and power. True justice, the kind that flows from a heart transformed by God's love, is not about achieving moral superiority or gaining social currency. It is about recognizing the inherent dignity and worth of every human being created in the image of God. It is about standing in solidarity with the marginalized and oppressed, not to elevate ourselves, but to amplify their voices and work tirelessly for their liberation. The pursuit of social justice is not a sprint to a finish line, but a lifelong marathon of learning, growth, and transformation. It is a journey of continual self-reflection, challenging our assumptions, confronting our biases, and allowing God's love to shape our perspectives and actions. This journey will inevitably involve discomfort, mistakes, and the humbling realization that we still have much to learn. Embrace the messiness of this journey. Be willing to have difficult conversations, even when they are uncomfortable. Listen with empathy and humility to those who have experienced injustice firsthand. Be open to having your perspectives challenged and your blind spots exposed. Remember that true allyship is not about being perfect, but about showing up with authenticity, compassion, and a willingness to learn and grow alongside those you seek to support. As you navigate this journey, be wary of the pitfalls of performative activism and the echo chambers that can stifle growth and understanding. Seek out diverse voices and perspectives, even those that challenge your own. Be willing to engage in respectful dialogue, seeking common ground and understanding rather than seeking to win arguments or score points. Remember, the goal is not to be right, but to pursue what is just and loving, reflecting the heart of God in all you do. In the words of Micah 6 verse 8, he has shown you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. This verse encapsulates the essence of our calling as followers of Christ to live out justice, love and humility in every aspect of our lives. Let us be known for our unwavering commitment to righteousness, not just in our words but also in our actions. Let us be peacemakers, bridge builders, and advocates for those who are marginalized and oppressed. Let our lives be a testament to the transformative power of God's love, breaking down barriers of prejudice, dismantling systems of oppression, and creating a world where every individual is treated with dignity, respect, and compassion. As we conclude, let us be reminded that the pursuit of social justice is not merely a task to be completed, but a way of life to be embraced. Let us answer the call to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God, knowing that in doing so, we participate in the ongoing work of redemption and restoration that God is doing in the world. Let us live each day striving to be vessels of His love, grace, and justice, shining His light into the darkest corners of our world and bringing hope to a hurting and broken humanity.